Kathy here, and welcome back. Glad to see you again, or if you're joining me for the first time, pleased to meet you. And so today's topic is about kind of which camp do you fall in personality wise. So I've been married going on 3 years. I did get married later in life in my mid 30s, and my husband is about 4 years older than I am. And I've noticed one difference between the two of us is that I'm one of those people that when something comes up, there's a need, I tend to look at what resources we already have and how we can use what we already have to fix or do or whatever needs done, right? Where my husband is more one of those that when something comes up, he'll think about like what is the perfect tool to do this? Like what tool is designed to take care of whatever it is that's going on, and then he'll want to go get that or do that. And so it's one of those things that's a constant conversation between us. Just an example for me, like just doing these videos, I know that it's best to have a pretty nondescript background behind you. And hey, 10 bonus points to anyone who can actually figure out what I am sitting in front of here. There are some handles there if that's at all helpful. I would be very surprised if someone got it. But instead of being like, hey, let's go purchase some screen or let's set up a really neat wall with some cutesy pictures. I'm like, how would I just go sit in front of this object behind me? And it's pretty plain Jane. It'll work. And we'll just make that our green screen in a way. Now, I bring this up because if you're someone who's needing to simplify your life, make accommodations in your life, what I find with my version, the resourceful version, is a lot of times it takes a little bit more time, a little bit more effort, a little bit of work to use what you already have. And sometimes we don't have the time. Well, actually, a lot of times we do have the time, but we don't have the energy even. And it becomes kind of a debate. Do I have the energy to make this work using things already at my disposal? Or is it really worth just paying the money to buy the tool that is made for this? And so this makes me think of a good friend of mine. She was a coworker of mine when I worked overseas, and we're both back stateside now, though we're about 10, 11 hours apart. We live in different states. But I remember her telling me once, because there's very little she can eat. She just has chronic digestive issues. And I remember, actually, it wasn't her, it was her husband. He told me once, I finally just told her, if this item is the only thing that you can eat without feeling ill, we will spend the money to make sure we get this item and you have something to eat. And that comment really struck me because I'm a penny pincher. I try to live frugally. I'm not a martyr by any means with it, but I do try to be a good steward of my finances, I guess, so that I do have what I need when things come up unexpectedly. And so the fact that someone would, pay what I felt like was an absorbent cost for just one food item, it really helped me put into perspective the need. And sometimes the need necessitates the value. And I see that even with myself as I have made different diet changes that, for example, one of my severe sensitivities is sunflower. And it's one of those things that I never realized how many things sunflower oil is in. Just look at every bag of potato chips other than Fritos, and you see canola and or sunflower. And to me, I'm like, I'd really like to know if that's an and or, because the canola is fine, but the sunflower is not. Or look at every boxed milk. We won't even talk about granola bars, right? Or cereals. All of those things, they tend to have sunflower in them, a lot of condiments. And I find I'm limited to one possible brand of boxed milk, whether it's soy milk or almond milk. There's only one brand I can find that doesn't have that, and it's not always the cheapest brand. Or there's only one type of chips I can get that doesn't have sunflower oil. There's a lot of natural products I cannot use because they use sunflower oil, or chamomile. That's another one. And it's really comes down to, is it worth it? And so I'm just curious, and feel free to comment on this if you want, where you're at in that camp between being resourceful and buying what you need as you go. And I just feel like that's a worthy conversation.